Ryan Gilronan, Daniel Peterson, and our guest, BillyRock McCarthy.
Yes, sir.
Billy has a long history of performing, recording, innovating, engineering, you name it. So I want to just turn it over to him. We can talk about his start. Went to OU in Athens, Ohio, so Ohio shout out, and just everywhere he's been. So, Billy, if you just want to take it from the top, how did you start this journey of yours?
So, first of all, thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, man, thanks
You're
for being
welcome.
here.
This is pretty cool. And again, I'm going to have to cheers my brothers
Yeah.
Cheersing.
as we begin.
Yes, sir.
Boom.
So I got my start really early. It started with a drum kit for my 5th birthday, Mickey Mouse,
Mickey Mouse, huh?
paper heads and everything.
Oh, my God.
And it's kind of funny because I was a hyperactive kid, and my mother, in her infinite wisdom, saw that being channeled basically into a drum set, you know. And I credit my parents for that. I come from a musical family. My grandmother and my great aunts were the infamous Burke sisters, and if you can kind of close your eyes and picture 3 women, evening gowns, big band behind them, throughout the 1940s, late 30s, 40s, they would tour all over the country. And back then they toured by train, which was really interesting. And,
Oh, wow, yeah.
I was lucky enough to get a hold of my grandmother's diary. And, back then they would kind of document their journey on tour. And, she was an amazing performer in person, and had stories about, playing the Orpheum, Radio City Music Hall. She was from Chicago, but they would kind of tour as far south, I think, as St. Louis. And I came across an entry in her diary of a place called the Arrowhead, which was kind of, I won't say a gangster hangout, but back then it's where those guys would spend their time, and it's in Loveland.
Really?
Yeah. Now it's an apartment complex, so it's kind of diminished in its reputation. But back then it was a place where you would have 200-300 people, big band, maybe some nefarious things going on in the back, but she lived the life and passed it down to her children. Both of my aunts are phenomenal singers, and so every gathering in my family was really spent performing. If you weren't singing into a wooden spoon, then you were in the wrong place. And so I had that bug early on in life. Went through the normal channels of getting sucked into school band. It didn't last long for me at that age because I'd already been playing a whole kit, and I got put on a practice pad with a snare. You know the drill,
like,
right, left.
I'm not taking a step back here, folks.
Right. So I, played in garage bands through my teen years, and grew up on the East Coast primarily, lived in New Jersey twice, Virginia, Pennsylvania, eventually made my way here to Cincinnati in 86, and graduated high school, went off to OU.
Okay.
We have to ask the Cincinnati question. Where did you go to high school?
I went to Moeller, of all places,
No
if you
kidding.
can believe
No kidding.
that.
Huh.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I was actually in Lakota School District, but I had, I won't say got myself in trouble, but there's some shenanigans prior to moving to...
Life events happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Formative.
my parents were like, you're going to go to Catholic school. So I ended up at Moeller.
Gotcha.
Then OU for 5 glorious years. And
Victory lap. I love it.
Yep. And took some percussion ensemble at OU, but realized I didn't want to be a music major. So I eventually left OU and spent a good amount of time at the recording workshop
Chillicothe.
in Chillicothe. I moved there in 1996 for a job believe it or not. I had all of Southern Ohio as my territory, and I had a good amount of experience and a lot of hours logged already at the recording workshop, which is where I met the uber talented Robert Fugate and Dave Voigt.
Right, yeah. I just had lunch with Dave the other day.
Yeah. And so Dave was really kind of the grandfather of us all in that realm. He was my college roommate, and he went off to the recording workshop to study engineering and began feeding me sessions.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
so that's how that all started. And I met Robert through there, and it came to pass that I moved there later for a job. Dave was gone. He had moved out to L.A. at that point, but Robert was still there, and enter Alex Lusht.
Oh, boy. So, wait, well, real quick, like, so were you weren't, like, attending the recording workshop as a student. You were doing more session work.
I was doing session
okay.
work.
All right, yeah, gotcha.
And really took advantage of the fact that while you're in a teaching institution like that, you've got all of these new engineers that are needing projects and music and artists to come in. So it gave me a great opportunity to spend literally at this point 1,000 hours of studio time in there. And
nice.
So Alex comes into the scene as a student under Robert and some of the other great instructors there, and we immediately clicked. And at that time, Nathan Witt had garnered a lot of respect in the music world. He had a single, Shadow Jumping, that reached, I think it was probably, he broke top 40 in the adult contemporary charts. So he got a lot of attention. And as a result of that, we jumped on tour with him to support that. And at the time, we had come out the same launch week that Third Eye Blind did. And while we were on a couple hundred tertiary and secondary radio markets, they were on primary radio markets. So they really they had the financial muscle to
right.
become what they did, right?
Right.
But we did some touring with Blessed Union at that time. We got partnered with them through Lustig Talent out of Florida, I believe. And so we lived the dream. You know, we were on the charts and had a blast while we were touring. And this was probably 97 through 2000.
Okay, yeah.
We released a second single off an album that we did, which became Nathan Witt and Chief's Tale. And that reached, I think, 60 on adult contemporary pop charts. And like a lot of the VH1 stories, you know, a lot of time on the road, maybe a couple too many disagreements. Eventually, the band parted ways, but we've all since kind of reconnected. I'm actually doing a show with Nathan this Saturday in Maysville.
Nice.
And, yeah, so that'll be fun. So that journey with Nathan Witt's band eventually brought me back to Cincinnati, where Alex, Robert, and I, and Tiffany, who is our video guru and master of everything, really, formed Mind Ignition, which was kind of a think tank audio media endeavor.
I'm curious about that. How, because we've talked about Mind Ignition before, and how, you know, my first encounter with your group was, I believe, Whispering Beard.
Yeah.
And then kind of went from there. But, you know, I'm just really curious as how did that come about? Like, were you guys just sitting around over drinks? Like, wouldn't it be great if we had this? Like, if you just describe for the people out there what Mind Ignition does.
Sure.
Right.
Right now, we're at a point where our largest client is the Cincinnati Reds. So we do around 20 concerts in their fan zone each season. We do opening day, which brings about 22,000 people down to Joe Nuxall Way. We do Reds Fest at the convention center, and some freelance stuff for them throughout the season. But you know, it was an evolution. We were all musicians first.
Right.
Alex and Robert also had the bug to be engineers, which is why Robert ended up there. I always operated more in the realm of A2. Robert and Alex are world-class A1 engineers.
Yeah,
I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find two engineers that are better at what they do than those two guys.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so as that evolution played out, while we loved performing, we also loved the other side of the camera, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And that even grew into a video realm, which prompted our kind of guerrilla channel, Mind Ignition channel, which while we didn't have a landing spot, we did have a studio, but we didn't have a venue. So we would go to places like Madison or 20th Century mm-hmm. and deck the place out, get our gear up, and do live shoots, almost like Austin City Limits.
Oh, right.
You know,
right,
so we
right.
would in that guerrilla style, dress it up, make the curtains match the drapes, you know, give it a cool theme, give it a cool vibe, mm-hmm. and then record these artists. And on our channel, you can see there's probably, 20 plus episodes that we produced, and just trying to bring more attention to the incredible talent that is here in Cincinnati,
yeah,
and regionally. So,
right.
So there's a few different points of interest with Mind Ignition. We do a lot of freelance work with artists. Robert's actually out on the road now with Over the Rhine.
Yeah, I see him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and so there's freelance elements. Alex just finished a couple more albums. You know, those guys are always working with new clients, and then we come together for festival season for things like the Whispering Beard and
yeah,
yep.
yeah, baby.
That
was the first time I met you.
Mm-hmm.
It was?
Yeah, Honey in Houston we were loading onto the stage. I met Rob Fugate, and then this beautiful man appears. And he's like, "What's up, man? I'm Billy. Honey in Houston, you're great. Your kit looks great. Everything looks great. It's going to be great." And I was like, "It is going to be great. This guy's awesome." You know, like.
And just so you know, we'll have pictures on the website so they can see. You can see Billy Rock's beauty.
Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah, but that seriously though, I think that was the first time like I, shook hands, met you personally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the Whispering Beard.
That is kind of the business model that we've built our company on.
Yeah.
In that, being musicians as well as crew and production, mm-hmm. we try to anticipate your needs, because
right.
I've been there. I've loaded my kit onto 1,000 stages.
Right,
There's nothing
right.
worse than coming on to a stage and feeling like you're already reviled by the sound crew.
Oh,
you know?
Right, yeah.
Like they're working against you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody's happy in their work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
sure.
we've always wanted people to feel like the first thing that our mission is to dispel any anxiety that you have. Because
right,
you're there
right,
to have
right.
the best performance of your life.
Yeah.
And the way that we help that come to fruition is by allaying any concerns,
mm-hmm.
so that you're not thinking in the technical realm. You should be in the artist realm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're there to... It should sound great to you. Your monitor should be perfect. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have to beg and plead to have a good mix on stage. Mm-hmm. Once those things are taken care of, then all of that goes away, and you're actually just performing.
Right.
And so it's all it's all by design. That
mm-hmm.
We're a boutique company. We can't compete with the Loud and Clears of the world and the
right.
C&D audio.
Right.
Nor do we want to.
Right, yeah.
When we do larger events that we need heavier lifting for, we'll sub that out,
Yeah.
And we partner up with Youth Audio. Brian was an instructor at the recording workshop, so we all go back decades. And
okay, yeah.
he handles a lot of large festivals with, several thousand people. So when we do something like the Beard, that's when we'll bring in some extra muscle. Mm-hmm. But we still produce the show from top to bottom.
Yeah.
From what you saw,
Right.
being greeted before you even reach the stage to the end result, which is a good mix at front of house.
Right, yeah. And I mean, I think it's cool because you know, was it you, Alex, and Rob that were in the band that was traveling around?
Yes.
So yeah, like you said, you guys know not only what it's like being on stage, but what it's like playing in front of 50 people, 3,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the whole range of all of that.
Yes.
And it comes through in your work, I think. You
Yeah.
know, it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, my humility is fully intact.
Yeah,
You know, I've
yeah.
played in front of
Yeah.
the bartender,
Right,
and I've
right.
played in front of 5,000 people with,
Yeah.
you know, singers from Toto, Journey, Kansas,
Yeah.
Fabulous
it's unreal.
Thunderbirds.
Wow.
A lot of
Yeah. What's that like? Like, and not just what's that like touring and everything, but what it's like the, you know, the big disparity there. Like, you know?
At the end of the day, it's about the performance.
Mm-hmm.
But at first, it was kind of intimidating. You know, when our first kind of real break was doing the handful of shows that we did with Blessed Union. That was my first exposure to, wow, this is real.
Right.
And looking out and seeing several thousand people
Yeah.
in the audience and knowing that you've got one shot.
Right.
You know, there is no retakes in a live
Yeah,
show.
right.
Yeah. Were
so-
you coming from that? Like, was that so? That was like one of your first big tastes of the. Were
Yeah.
they just blowing up that band, Blessed Union of Souls? Or
No,
had
they had already had a number of hits.
Okay.
So they were well established.
Yeah. So you really were like being brought on the train ride.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
And opening for them was the first time where we were in a different part of the country, and you know, it was crazy because we were getting airplay on a number of radio stations, and a couple of the towns that we played in, looking out in the audience, people knew the lyrics, and that was the first time I was like,
wow.
how do these strangers know
Right.
this
They've
song?
been following us.
Right. And so there's some really cool elements to that. But the disparity between playing, you know, as we all have in tiny little bars, you know, on a rough night when there's 11 of your friends out there, and a show where you've got cameras on you,
Yeah.
and there's you know, that pressure for perfection, really.
Sure.
It can be overwhelming, but the more I did it, the more I realized it's just music, man, and they're
Yeah.
just people.
Right.
And even the people that I was starstruck by, the first big show that we did like that was an 80s tribute show. Where did we do that? We were on the road with Philip Myers for several weeks. So we had literally no time to come back home and rehearse. So we were rehearsing on the road, really.
Yeah.
And the lineup for this show was Bobby Kimball from Toto, Alex Ligertwood from Santana. His hit, if you remember, I'm winning.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That was
bringing
him.
me back.
And hold on, nothing's the same. Tell me
Oh,
why
yeah.
I feel this way. And he's a tiny little Scotsman, which I
Accent and
I didn't-
everything. Just
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really?
And just a phenomenal singer. And Fergie Fredrickson, who is unfortunately no longer with us, he did some singing with Styx and a few other acts. You know, these were all, you know, bona fide rock stars from the 80s. We had Kim Wilson, who was just an absolute pleasure to work with, from the Fabulous Thunderbirds. John Cafferty from the Beaver Brown Band. Tommy Two-Tone. Jim
Yep.
Keller is his real name.
Okay.
And let's see, I think that may have been it. But so we came into the show, we did, I think, like 3 songs from each artist. So they were embedded in the middle of the Philip Myers show. So
Okay.
we came out, we kind of bookended it. And then they were supposed to be kind of reveals. You may remember this star from the,
yeah.
Gotcha.
you know, and
Yeah.
so Bobby Kimball came out and did Rosanna, Africa,
cool.
and Hold the Line.
Yeah.
The pressure that I felt performing behind those guys was by far the greatest that I
Sure.
dealt with. Mainly because all of those, particularly Toto, I'm following Jeff Porcaro.
Yeah, geez, no pressure there, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
But all the shows turned
Get
out
that
great.
Rosanna shuffle down.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, you've made it when you have a shuffle named after you.
Right?
But I can get you links to we have those. Those are all taped performances. So
Nice.
I have video of them. Yeah, it's cool to see. And so we've had the opportunity through Philip Meyer's band to do a lot of shows like that. Kevin Chalfant, who sang with Journey, I think he was might have been the first one to fill in for Steve Perry after he left.
Huh.
Just a wonderful man. I've done probably 5 shows with him, and he's great to work with. The most recent one we did was with Kevin Chalfant, John Elefanti from Kansas, and Fran Cosmo from Boston. And we did that up outside Miami Valley Gaming this past summer.
Okay, yeah.
And that show was, the Boston stuff was challenging because that is well orchestrated music. You listen to it on the radio and you go, I got this song. But
Yeah,
then when
right.
you dig in, you realize
Right.
all the arrangements and things that are
all
going
these
on.
Parts.
Yeah. So, but those challenges, it's funny because I can name 20 drummers in this city that can eat my lunch in a second, technically better. And, these situations that I've been put into have pushed me in a way that I never thought I would be challenged before. And, it makes me proud.
Yeah.
Because, little old me should never, even as a kid, my drums would be in my room. I'd put on my whatever, whether it was, Boston or AC/DC or Iron Maiden or Zeppelin. And I would just kind of close my eyes and play and imagine, the audience, and imagine someday I'm going to be on a big stage,
Yeah, right.
And it happened.
Right, yeah.
It blows my mind that.
Yeah, and you stepped up. And
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And, but it also humbles me and makes me realize how much I still need to grow, So I'm still on my practice pad a couple hours a day.
Good man.
And, I want to, there's a lot of fight left in this dog. So,
I believe it.
as I usher into my late 40s,
Yeah.
I still feel like a kid, but I realize that there's a lot left to do. I got a lot of work left. So, I'm trying to push that envelope, which kind of brings me to, I toured with Katie Ryder, who was a absolute gem of Cincinnati, and the daughter of Rob Ryder and brother of Rob Ryder and Andy. They were like the Partridge Family, all of them musically talented, even her sisters and half sisters. And Katie was on a huge uptick. This would have been, I came into the picture, I think, around 2003 or 4, and played with her up until she was too sick to play with Dave Eberhardt and Lenny Hickey, 2 amazing musicians here in Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
And, we knew all along, I think, that we were kind of delivering Katie to a record label. She had been heavily sought after, and we would play places like the Bitter End, the notorious Bitter End in New York. We'd play Chicago, Louisville, Indy. So she was on her way. She had a lot of people that had a lot of interest. She also had songs on Dawson's Creek, and so she was commercially viable in that way too. So she had.
And you guys were her band at that time.
We were her band at that time, and and I also realized, that Katie was the star, and we were going to kind of deliver her lovingly to a label and back away because they could find a 20-year-old drummer who could go on the road. I'm too expensive. I'm too needy.
Right.
At I need my own room, and
I need my stuff. I need my things.
no, my days of trailers and vans were
Oh, I
over.
feel
Yeah,
over
hardwood
it.
floors and
I
stuff.
feel
Yeah.
that,
Oh,
yeah.
come on.
But I did love it. At 28, yeah, I'd sleep on the floor. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sleep in the van.
I
it's
do it
okay.
now.
Save some.
Still doing it.
Yeah, with Nathan's band, we toured all over. We from Key West to the Rockies to Wyoming.
Yeah.
We were handled at that time by two promoters. I think, one of them, basically from the East Coast to Mississippi, was handled by, I cannot remember his name, but he was with Atlantic out of New York. And his name escapes me because it was 20 years ago.
Sorry, anonymous person.
Yeah.
We'll find it. We'll put it in the notes.
Yeah.
I can get that information to you. And the other guy was, I think, Paul Loggins, Kenny Loggins' brother
Oh, wow.
or cousin, who handled us kind of from the Mississippi to the West Coast. But man, we had a blast.
Was that living on the road? I mean, every day, basically, or
They were, several weeks.
right?
Yeah, so we would stab out and go play Laramie, Wyoming, and Nebraska, and then we would play all the ski towns in Colorado,
Yeah.
and then come back through the Badlands, and
Right. Yeah.
then we'd make runs from Cincinnati down through Nashville and Georgia and the Carolinas. We played a lot of really, really cool places during that time, and that was at a time when we were all. I was barely even 30, I think. So this was before kids and before real life responsibility. So we all, I actually quit a perfectly good corporate job to
Really?
go on the road and make $11. But I wouldn't
Really?
I wouldn't have traded it for the world. It was.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you only live once, right?
Hell yeah.
And I had to take advantage of that
Yeah.
opportunity. We didn't know what was going to happen at that time. There was a lot of buzz around Nathan. We were getting radio airplay, and successfully. We always joke that we were huge in Hilo, Hawaii, because all the radio markets, it's kind of a smash or trash. You
Yeah.
spit it out there.
And see what happens.
And-
what sticks.
Normally, where you hit dictates your tour route, right?
Yeah.
Hawaii was a little bit.
Hawaii's a little. Yeah.
Yeah, but we had a lot of strong support in parts of Florida as well. So, anyways, that ran its course. It's great though, because I know I'm being completely and totally tangential, but my story is a confusing web of connections.
No.
But in 2007, is that right? Yeah, in 2007, we got back together and had a reunion show called the 7-Year Itch. So all the members of Chief's Tale got back together. It was great.
Yeah.
And since then, I've had the opportunity to record on a couple of Nathan's albums, one being Someday I'll, and he has a new one out now. And so it's cool how that came full circle. And, 20 years later, we're still tracking together and making music.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Where's he based out of now?
He lives in Florida.
Oh, cool.
And he also...
Found a home there.
Yeah, he has a really successful canoe livery down on a spring-fed river. It's beautiful.
nice.
It looks like your aquarium. You look down from the canoe, and you
Oh,
just
dude.
Clear.
It's
Oh,
unbelievable.
That's sweet.
because it's freshwater fed.
Right.
But after all of that came to pass, and we got Mind Ignition up on its feet and established, the bug to perform never goes away.
Yeah.
It is it's a blessing and a curse. There have been 1,000 nights where I've been driving home after a show when it wasn't what you were hoping, or you're
Oh yeah.
struggling with the crowd or the pay, going, what in the hell am I doing? And as down and out as I would be at times coming home from shows, the next morning I would always wake up recharged, to
Do it again.
to do it again. It's like being a glutton for punishment, but it's a relationship. You're stuck in it, and
I agree. Yeah.
so that bug never went away, which compelled me to continue to work with original artists. Katie was a blessing to work with. Unfortunately, she passed away at 30, way too young. It was tragic, and it was around that time too where another good friend of mine, Chris Walker, was in a terrible accident, leaving a show that we had just finished at Turfway Park.
Oh yeah.
And so that was a rough. And I lost my mom later that year. So 2007 and 8 were
Whammies.
they were whammies.
Jeez.
And but you know, you kind of pull the wagons, pull up your bootstraps, and you keep going because you are alive, right? And around that time, I started to really get the bug to take my singing to another level. I'd always been the harmony guy,
because I had drums and right.
And Chris Hooks, who I really attribute a lot of my success to, kind of propped me up and said, "You need to be lead singing. You have the voice. It's time to unleash the hounds." And I was like, "But I don't know if I can. And how am I going to carry the band?" Blah blah blah.
My fear.
Yeah, and with his support, we put together the BillyRock Band, and Elton Clifton was on board with us at that time. A phenomenal guitar player in town who I still record with, and I'll get into that with McCarthy Union in a minute. And you know, they always say it takes 7 to 10 years to become an overnight success, and I'm reaching the 10-year point with BillyRock Band now.
Okay,
and I feel like we are just now starting to catch fire. You know, I've had a lot of highs during that time, and great shows, but we are now finally in a position where you almost reach like critical mass, right? Where it's like enough people have finally heard, and enough people have seen us to where I have what I consider a loyal fan base now.
Right.
And the people that come out to see our shows are the best. I mean, it's only because of them that I'm inspired to get out of bed and go put on the best show I can. It's because of their support, and they have been great. I've been very, very lucky to see, week after week, the same people show up, and I'm like, "You're here again?" I mean, you're not bored with us yet,
right?
Which is why it compels me to continue to grow, add new material, think about what I can do that's new for the show, so that I give people a reason to continually come back.
Right.
Yeah, they're giving you that energy and the loyalty.
Yes.
That's a beautiful
And
thing.
I'm lucky to be saddled by the two guys I am. Chris Hooks has toured all over the world. He's played every casino on earth. He was a former platter, well vetted and credentialed. And Christian Robles is, I always jokingly call him one of the 2%ers. He is definitely at the top of the guitar food chain. And he was a Berkeley student, went there with the likes of John Mayer, Nora Jones, Alicia Keys, a lot of heavy hitters, and has been successful. I met Christian playing in Worldwide. That's one band I forgot to mention. Around 2000, I jumped on board with them. Funk dance band, great. A lot of
fun.
Oh yeah,
Original stuff or
original stuff and cover stuff.
Okay.
I got to play with Mike Cobb. JT Thigpen, Danny Manning, Pete Hall, Christian Robles, Phil Ritchie, all amazing artists. And so that was fun and also challenging. It helped me grow. I think everybody that I've been exposed to has helped shape and define me. I had an idea of who I was as an artist and as a drummer and as a performer, and every time I think I have that figured out and I play with someone else, it's like a tapestry. I get a new patch. It's a new part of me that comes into play, and I'm like, I didn't see myself. I never would have pictured myself this way,
right?
Or adopting this style of music. I've had the luxury of being able to, and this is all through Philip Meyer's band, play with opera singers.
Wow.
I've played with the Denver string section, symphony, their string section. I've played with CeeLo.
Oh,
I've played with all the folks I mentioned before, and Philip Myers, in his own realm, is a world-class entertainer. He was on the road with, almost too many to name, but Willie Nelson, Celine Dion. He's performed with Garth Brooks.
Right.
He was on the road with Elton John for a number of years. He sang for 4 of the 5 living presidents. He's also
seen a lot.
Yeah, well credentialed.
Yeah. And I mean, like, as you take those new opportunities, that that demands a new skill set, and like you said, adopting a new style, and then it's this whole new world that you never really ventured into. Had it not been for that opportunity,
it's a credit to you. I mean, honestly, that your spirit is open to those opportunities. I think a lot of people, just get to a point in their life and they plateau.
Yeah,
they're like, I'm good, but it's evident by just talking to you about everybody you're open to playing with and the experience you like. I mean, I think a lot of people get in their, I'm in my lane. Like, I play rock, and that's what I do.
Right.
No, it's a testament to you, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It is, there have been times when I have felt that I should probably hand this job off to someone who's more qualified, but I would never have been able to live with myself not having given it everything I had. And it's because of those situations where I felt like there's no way that I'm going to be able to perform on stage with these guys, with the cast of drummers they have a choice of. I'm not in that company. I'm just a simple drummer out of the basement, And I mean, that's how I've always viewed myself, and being able to accomplish those things is what has made me realize, what, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Even when I didn't believe that I could, you just got to put your head down and get to work. And I realized.
What do you mean by that? Get to work? I mean, just for conversation. What is that like?
For me,
put your head down,
what
get to
look
work.
like for you?
Right.
Yeah. Well, the most recent show, like, I had played with John Elefante a couple of times. I played with Kevin Chalfant a few times. So I had their songs under my fingers pretty well. With John, we did Carry On, Point of No Return. He borrowed a Foreigner tune. We would do Cold as Ice with him. And a couple other hits that he had from his following albums after, I think, I'm not sure where it lands in the discography.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it was later in Kansas's career that John came along. But the Boston tunes were particularly challenging. So what I mean by that is where a lot of drummers who, I can read drum music, but I have to read it at the speed of a turtle.
Yes.
Right.
So do you use Charge Live?
No. I mean,
I don't either.
I have a hybrid of notation
Yeah.
and scribble marks.
Oh, that's
Right.
me,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
The shorthand, Billy's shorthand.
exactly. But I don't read music every day. If it's like anything else, if you read music every day, you can spot read stuff.
Exactly,
Someone can put it down and you can play it in real time with the right tempo and treatment to the notes and all that kind of stuff. For me, I haven't spent my career in that mindset with that skill set. So what I do is commit everything to memory. If I'm learning a new piece of music, I break it apart. I will break it apart by measure if I have to. I reassemble it once I've gotten my fingers under each section, and then commit it to memory by sheer repetition. So, and I do think that there's an advantage in some ways to that, because it's one thing to be able to play a piece of music reading charts, but I don't feel like I would be able to give it the full, the full respect of the performance.
Like really engage into what.
Yeah,
you're
because
doing.
you got to get your head up when you're playing in front of 1,000 people, and there's an animated factor that goes on to playing. And when I have it committed to memory, I can then perform. There's one thing to being able to play the music, as opposed to perform it. So it works for me. It may not work for everybody else, but.
Yeah, so I mean that takes a lot of time.
It does. That show was probably 100 hours.
That, right? Yeah, just learning a show. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. And like you've always said, getting it right, not just getting by, but really nailing what you're being paid to do.
Right. And singing enters in a whole new
I can't even imagine.
realm
I was just gonna say,
that.
I'm like, how can you engage your percussive performance and make that interesting, and also carry the whole thing with the singing bit?
Yeah.
I mean that. However your mind is working, it's got to be a amazing thing to watch.
Yeah. It's kind of like The Matrix. There are times when I
dodging bullets.
I'm above my own body.
Yeah.
Looking down, but the way that I got to that point was always having been a backup singer, harmony guy in the band. I already had that element of it. It was about developing a lead voice instead of singing
voice.
the
But
third
then
or
it
the
changes
fifth.
the spotlight, because then it's not like if I mess it up in the harmony, it's like meh, whatever.
Right.
Now it's like spotlight on
No,
me.
the yoke instantly got a lot bigger and heavier to carry.
Yeah.
But like anything, you develop it through repetition. And for me, I had to commit drumming to muscle memory.
Okay.
You and I both can just sit down and I can say play a groove, and you play a groove, and you're not thinking about it because it's inherent in your DNA at this point.
Yeah, you're just feeling it. Yeah.
So for me, the way we base songs that we cover is primarily based on my ability to sing it. If it's not
sense.
something I can sing,
BillyRock Band.
Right. Okay.
but there are a lot of challenges along that way too. We do a lot of Steely Dan in our show. We do a lot of really challenging music. So for example, just drumming and singing "Reeling in the Years" is one that I had to spend a lot of time, because the vocal treatment, it's not following the bouncing ball. It's almost they're almost like they're spoken in many ways.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't move with the rhythm necessarily, which a lot of stuff, like Kashmir's another one. It does not move with the, it's poetry.
Oh yeah.
Really,
Sure.
over top of a drum beat. That doesn't necessarily match. So I kind of have to take myself out of my body to do that. But it's given me the opportunity to really develop into a lead singer, which I never saw myself as before, and has opened up this opportunity with McCarthy Union, this new project.
Yeah, you guys just had a record come out in August, right?
Yeah. It's The Color of the Diamond Ring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the cover. I mean, it's
Thanks.
It's, it's showing off again. Billy is a beautiful man.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
It really it highlights quite well. You should look it up.
Yeah.
That was
That's on iTunes, right?
Yep.
yeah, and
Is that
CD
the easiest
Baby.
way to get it?
If you have a subscription, it's free, or you
Nice.
can.
Come out to a show.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have them available at the shows, and it's available on CD Baby. That was all Ross Van Pelt's photographic work. He's a genius and a brilliant man in his own right. So this lineup was conceived through a charitable album that we did every year.
Fundraiser kind of.
Yeah. New Fidelity would bring in a nice mix of artists every year, and we kind of named ourselves the One Night Band because we would build a song and record it in one night.
Oh, that's fun.
And so the compilation of this album, done at New Fidelity, would be, I think they gave the proceeds to like the Children's Food Bank or something. It was just a nice gesture
Is that a local
for
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think so.
Can
Yeah.
you tell us about what New Fidelity? What?
They are actually no more.
Oh, okay.
They were down, I think, off of Spring Grove, down in that area.
Sure.
Cool studio. And
Okay.
Chris, he's in the Cliftones. I apologize. His last name is escaping me. Was one of the partners in that group,
Okay.
and Elton Clifton, who plays guitar with me a lot, was an engineer there. So
Okay, gotcha.
he assembled myself, Scott Hacker, Greg Tudor, Joel Cotton, Alex Lush, interchangeable members depending on the year. And we've done probably 5 or 6 Christmas songs to contribute to that. And then at one point, Scott Hacker was like, I actually have other songs. And so we went in, tracked them. I wasn't sure if it was just going to be like a lot of those sessions that never go anywhere,
sure.
it's just
Right.
something for us to enjoy.
Right.
And those guys took the ball and ran with it. And
Yeah.
it's funny, we recently shot a video with cell phones, essentially, 4 cell phones. And it's
On cell phones for cell phones.
yeah, and it's up.
Very
It's almost up to 10,000 views now, and it's one of the title tracks, "Best of Me," off the album. But it's really interesting album because, again, I've been challenged in ways that I wouldn't have guessed before. The album is really, there's not one theme going on. It's very diverse from song to song.
Yeah.
Best of Me is kind of a rocker, punch to the face kind of.
Oh yeah.
But then you've got songs like Die Tryin' and Prison Cell that are really kind of heartfelt and just almost a different genre of music. But it's pretty cool because this is the first time I've been in the front seat
Right.
of I've always been in a supporting role with I've recorded on countless albums,
Just being
over
a
the
drummer
years.
and yeah.
Yep.
Right,
and
right.
offering my vocals and drumming. But Scott gave me the chance to, and Elton gave me the chance to really collaborate and co-write. So it was cool process, and we're already underway on the second album, and we'll be shooting some more
wow.
videos. So
Cool.
yeah,
So look for that. That is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah. Huh.
And so that'll just kind of partner. We will do a couple of shows, do the album, and maybe there's an opportunity to do something embedded in BillyRock show. We're all this town, as you know, the clique of musicians is pretty tight and small, really. I feel like I know just about everybody in this town that is out on the scene, at least, right?
Right,
And
right,
performing.
right.
But so yeah, that kind of catches you guys up to what.
Wow. That's a lot of what a whirlwind.
There's so much
Yeah.
going on. Again, it's really impressive. Like that, your passion has just remained just burning. It's evident just talking to you
Yeah.
about how much you love it and can see yourself doing it forever. Really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're planning on a retirement anytime soon.
No. And you know why I have that? I have that motivation because there's not a day that goes by that I'm not completely and utterly fascinated and excited about being around.
that's awesome.
I'm so fortunate. I'm not dealing with any illness. I've got both arms, both legs. There's no excuse not to be motivated.
Be out there doing it.
Yeah.
And that will be my motto until I take my last breath. What am I going to do today? And like today, I'm here with you guys.
That's right.
Which is
Crazy.
cool.
Love it.
One of the things that, like, getting to know you and I love that you do is your approach to cultivating your fan base. I think is really unique. At least, of anybody that I know. I mean, you really take the time to really engage with, like you say, these people come out week after week after week, but I mean, you're also engaging with them, just remembering their names, things like that, and then you kind of, seems like you curate your show based on what they're wanting, what they respond to. And I think that's something that's really important. If you want to be an independent musician or artist, you got to create your own fan base.
You do.
And you got to, nurture that and stay on top of things. And I don't know if you could share any words of wisdom, that you found.
Again, it comes from a place of humility. And I am so honored that someone would get ready, hop in their car, make plans, get babysitters, spend money, drive across town to hear me play some songs. With all the priorities there are on the earth, the fact that someone is going to take out a portion of their evening to come watch me perform is the ultimate honor for me. So they're my top priority.
Right.
I care more about them than I do any other aspect of my business. I'm lucky to be able to play music. I would do it in the basement here with you guys if we wanted to jam, because it's in our DNA and we love to play.
Right.
The fact that I can go set up in public and someone is going to come and give me their attention is mind blowing to me.
Right.
And maybe it's because I'm a cynical old bastard, but
I do.
No, I agree with that, man.
But I mean, I can't help but critique when I go out.
Okay.
I mean, I rarely get the chance anymore because it's a paradox that we live in. I don't.
Sure. You're always working.
Always working, and not at all connected like I should be to the scene, because I just simply can't get out when I want to see music. But they are my top priority, and I want them to know that. I announce it from the stage how much I value them. Yeah. And sometimes it may come across as cheesy, but people that know me know that it's not. That sure. I honestly mean it, because without them, I'm doomed. And you brought up a good point about the capturing of your fan base, and with the situation that the labels are in and where they have evolved from, and the advent of all of the social media and aspects of the internet, we have been empowered now with the opportunity to create our own enterprise.
Yes.
And so if you can get a handful of people to stop what they're doing and come out and see you, or buy your CD, or watch your video on YouTube, you have the beginnings of an enterprise.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes a matter of, okay, well, what do I do with these views? What do I do with this interest? What do I do with these humans that
want to connect?
Want to connect. Yeah. And, I'm kind of late to the game in that technological realm, but I do make the effort, to thank people for all of the interest that they have. I get back and comment when someone says, sounds great. I don't just hit like on their comment. I go, thank you, Susan.
You engage with people. Right.
And I let them know that I value them. And I think there is what we do on stage is part of the picture. It's not the whole picture. It is
it's a very small part of the picture.
Right. It's like an iceberg, right?
Yeah.
You only see a little bit.
Exactly. And I want people to, I want them to, I want to know them, and I want them to get to know me. And so what I often do is what I refer to as touching tables. on a set break, I will go out and make the effort to
Right.
walk the room
Right.
and shake hands and thank people for coming. And you'd be amazed that for so many people, a lot of times they're surprised or just overjoyed that you're taking the time. And I'm like, of course I am.
Yeah,
Why
right.
wouldn't I? But that little gesture, it's like walking.
That's a rarity.
It is, and it's like walking into any store and you see someone with their name tag on, and you say, "Hi, Karen.
Right.
How
right.
are you?"
Yeah.
You give people a sense of worth, self-worth, just by referring to them by their name. And it's those little gestures, I think, that help me take my fan relationship to a friend relationship. And that's what they are, I almost feel like it's derogatory to call them fans. They're friends.
Sure.
And they are the engine that keeps me motivated to do what I do.
I think that's an amazing attitude, and I wish, that everybody did that, really. I mean, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
just see the joy when you're talking about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love talking about that same attitude, like bringing joy to people. I saw on and I think everybody should go to, we'll say it again, but BillyRockBand.com. And if you look at videos, the last videos, airport delays.
Yeah.
I got to ask, was that staged or is that an impromptu?
No, that's all legit.
Can you set that scene for us? Because I brought a smile to my, just trying to, do a little research today. Just that video really caught my eye, and seeing you, well, you can set the scene.
Yeah.
So we were on the road with Philip Meyer's band at that time. I think we were in Florida, somewhere in Florida, Miami, Orlando, something. And when we move through the airport, we don't look like tax guys.
Yeah.
So it
You stand out.
and
Yeah.
and
Leather jacket.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty freaking cool.
yeah, so
Leery-eyed. Right.
yeah. So we were at our gate waiting to, Alex and I are always the first thing that we do is go to the gate agent and talk about our upgrades. What can we do for us today? How you doing, Alice? You look beautiful today.
No, you're kidding me.
Anything left in first class?
Oh, that's great.
And
Pro tips.
yeah, you'd be amazed, man. All you have
awesome.
to do is ask.
Yeah.
If you're not afraid of hearing no, ask.
Yep.
All the
Right,
time.
right.
Because 50% of the time, and you're in a hotel and you go, can I have something with a better view? Do you think you could get me up? And you compliment someone on their necklace or their
Make
hair.
their day a little nicer.
Boom. Stuff starts happening. So I'm the great asker. I will always ask. And of course, we went up to the gate agent, and Alex and I started putting on the charm and asking her how her day was and how Delta has been treating her. And she got into this mode immediately where she was like, I know you guys are entertainers, aren't you? And I was like, no, we do taxes. And she was like, yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
And she said, why don't you sing me a song? And I said,
Can I
right.
sing everyone a song?
I was like, right here, right now. And she said, yeah. She said, I'm leaving in 2 weeks. I don't care. And I said, I'm going to go over here and grab a drink while we're waiting. And if you still want me to, when I come back, I'll sing something for you. So Alex and I went across to the bar thinking that maybe she would forget or whatever. And I came back, and of course she was eyeing me from a distance and gives me the come here finger. And
This is in an airport, right?
right. And she was like, come back behind the counter. And I was like, I'm going to get tackled by TSA at any second.
They're watching.
And so she hands me her little intercom
Yeah, the
mic,
microphone, right? Yeah.
and she was like, go for it. And I was like, all right. I did ask her, I was like, what's this going to get me? I was like, what do you got for me? And she was like, I don't know, maybe your seat will change. So I unleashed a little Al Green on her, and before I know it,
Did. What song did you sing, just so people know?
I did, let's stay together, loving your weather.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And by the end of it, you can see at the end of the video when Robert Fugate was the one that was
Yeah,
video.
Alex Lush was out there like
Oh yeah,
jamming, clicking the whole time.
He was right there. He is definitely my partner in crime. By the end of it, we had garnered a legitimate audience for that, and it did change our seats. So that just goes to show you.
Wow, and that, I mean, yeah, that's like you in a nutshell. I love that, bringing people
scene,
together.
And just the joy on everybody's face.
Yeah.
I mean, you made people. I mean, it's titled Airport Delays, and I think it really catches like that. That's a miserable thing to deal with, but in that moment for those people, it wasn't so terrible.
No, it was great. You know, I'm still waiting for it to go viral.
Well, maybe we can help with that. I don't know.
I don't know how to make that happen.
Yeah.
But we did submit it to Ellen's show.
Oh, cool. Yep.
It's a good idea.
Yep.
Good idea.
But I don't know. Maybe there's a copyright issue. Who knows?
Right? Yeah, you never know with all the YouTube laws these
With
days.
all the stuff.
Yeah.
We're
But yeah.
trying to break through.
That was cool,
I
and
love
that
it.
happens more often than not. That one happened to be captured on film, but you know,
It's just kind of how you live your life.
yeah,
I love it.
And in a future podcast, if you dare to bring Alex and Robert on,
Oh no,
Oh, that's the
that's
plan.
you're on our agenda.
he is the great storyteller.
Yes,
Alex
he is.
remembers a lot of stuff that I've forgotten.
Sure. Yeah.
And he can tell a story, and he's got a lot of them from the
Yeah.
road.
No, we got to get the whole My Ignition
Yeah,
crew
yeah,
on.
we need
we
the
got to
crew.
figure that out.
Yeah, I'll set him up for this one.
Yeah.
I'll make him tell the story of when we were stranded in Dallas for 8 hours, and managed to get one woman arrested by the Dallas police, or were we in Houston? We were in Texas at an airport.
Texas law enforcement
And,
got involved.
Another woman was we dropped her off at her gate, and the long and short of it is that they tried to drink with professionals.
Yeah.
And we also spent the day with a lot of military folk who were stranded too, from all branches. And so we started buying drinks, because I'm also one of those people that no matter where I am, if I see someone who's in the military, I go up to them and I say, I want you to know how much I appreciate your sacrifice. It matters so much to me. I'm hugely patriotic in that way. And I say it from the stage. If you served, if you have family or friends that have served, you have my ultimate respect. Because it is only because someone is standing guard 24/7, 365 days a year that we're able to enjoy the life that we have. And it's easily forgotten, and it's something I'm passionate about. So I never served myself. I have family that have, but it is something that's very important to me. As a result of that, we ended up spending about $800 that day, me and Alex,
Oh my.
buying. So it started with a trickle.
Yeah.
A couple of guys, and we had been drinking for about 2 or 3 hours at this point, and I saw some guys come in, and I told the waitress, I said, we got them, their drinks and lunch.
Wow.
Then a couple more come in, and we're like,
Oh, God.
we got them too. And then a couple more come in, and then there's a scene that's created because these guys are coming up to us now and introducing themselves to us.
Just hopping on the bill.
Well, they just they came to thank us.
Yeah, right, right.
And so
Oh,
now
I
we've
see,
got
I
a
see.
swarm around us.
Right.
We're getting to know these people, and there's a lot of attention being directed in our
A lot of
direction.
eyes on y'all. Yep.
And so they just start pouring in, and we got to a point where we're like, well, we can't buy for some and not others. So it
Oh my
eventually
God.
it got up there, but it was worth it because the looks on their faces was priceless. And I had one guy who was he was a ranger, special forces ranger, and he came up to me literally. This was after a few hours, and it had been established at this point that those two shaggy looking guys
Right, yeah.
have been buying
Yeah.
drinks and food for all the military folks that came in. And he approached me with tears in his eyes, and he gave me it's called a challenge coin. They cycle through the military. It's kind of like a trump card in a way, but it's usually kept within the military. And he said, I gave out like a handful of these last year for acts of whatever. And he said, I want you to have this one. I was like, I cannot take that, brother. I am not worthy. And he said, no, what you did today was truly honorable. And I was like, it made me feel great, but I still didn't feel worthy to even accept it. But it was cool that he recognized that someone cared, you know?
Yeah.
So,
that's
but
huge.
all the
That's
stuff that
huge.
happens down to us having all right, so at one point, I see I shouldn't be telling the whole story because Alex is going to tell it much better.
Different perspective, right?
But I'll set it up and say that there is a lot of shenanigans that go on throughout that day. Cops arrested people, us being chauffeured by a naval officer to our gate, which had the jetway had been closed because Alex and I were
Feeling good.
we were feeling real good
There you go.
at that time, and our flight got delayed. You know, everyone was trapped for the day because of weather. Our flight got moved to a completely different concourse, and I can remember Robert's like, we're going to a different, and we're like, God, we don't care.
Right. Yeah.
And that came back to haunt us.
Yeah.
But so we got escorted by the military through the airport to a different concourse to a jetway that was closed. And the lady was the gate agent was like, they can't come in here. Oh, here's the other thing. We had no tickets. No tickets. Everyone else had been reissued tickets, right?
Oh my
and
gosh.
Oh my God. Yeah. And
Alex and I had no tickets. The gate agent's like, there's no way in hell these guys are getting on the plane. And he said, open that door.
Wow.
And door opens. We walk onto this plane, no tickets, no vetting, no nothing.
In your rock and roll best.
To a furious packed plane.
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
Because they had been holding this. These people have been waiting.
Yeah. They're ready to go.
And we are each ushered into our own exit aisle on a packed plane and just dumped in our seats. And then the steward on that plane immediately came and snuck Alex and I little baby bottles of bourbon before we had reached 10,000 feet.
Wow.
Lord.
It's crazy. But there's a
that is
lot of
wild.
other.
See,
That's
it
just
never hurts to ask, is what
that's
you're
just
saying,
the-
right?
Never hurts to
And buy people
ask.
drinks.
Lesson of this podcast.
Here's another little known fact.
Do not be afraid.
You know the people carts,
Oh yeah.
the people golf carts,
People
and
movies.
yeah.
Yep.
they have to stop if you ask them. You do not have to be infirmed. We have also used them to take us bar hopping
Another
in the
pro tip. Oh.
Atlanta airport.
For no extra charge.
Yeah, we stopped her and we said, "Hey, can you take us to the bar?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so we got to the
Yes, I
bar,
can.
and I was like, "So you pick up anybody, right? Not just old and infirmed?" And she was like, "Yeah. If you ask, I basically am obligated to stop if I have room." And I said, "Well, here's a $5. Can you come back and get us in in a few minutes?"
Sweeten the deal.
And sure enough, she did. So I mean,
Damn.
it's like a taxi service in the airport.
I'll have to. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Little-
be humble.
That's right.
And engage. That's what I'm
Wow.
picking up.
Well, Billy, my man, this has been a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Any before we wrap it up here, where can we direct people to find you, see you, buy your stuff? What do you got going on?
Right.
Lay it on us.
So I do have a site up now, I believe, or it will be up in the next couple of weeks, at least right after New Year's. www.BillyRockMusic.com.
Okay.
And that website is going to kind of feed into all my other interests, along with Philip Meyer's band,
Okay.
Billy Rock Band, McCarthy Union, and Mind Ignition. So
Gotcha.
I was trying to find a way to kind of streamline this so there's one hub that kind of gives everyone a picture of who I'm involved with and in what capacity, you know.
Right.
So, but BillyRockBand.com is a good source for all of my upcoming shows with my band. PhilipMyersMusic.com is where you can find out what we've got going on as far as his realm.
Cool.
I know
Tour
we're going
dates and things like that.
Yeah, we're going to Budapest this year.
Nice.
I think we've got a Costa Rica trip coming up and dates in Florida and around the world. It's fun.
Sounds awesome, man.
And if anybody wants to connect with you with Mind Ignition,
Yeah, I think that site now is. We did have mindignitionchannel.com, but I think it's mindignition.net. But I might have to clarify that because we have shifted, migrated some of those.
It is Mind Ignition, MindIgnition, mindignition.net.
Correct.
That's where you can find them today if
Cool,
you would
he's
like
got
to
it pulled
do
up.
that happen.
Well,
Yeah. So we want to say thank you again to BillyRock
Yes,
McCarthy. This is Brian and Daniel. You've been
Yep.
listening to the Easy Mojo podcast. Check us out every week, and we will see you soon.
thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.